Welcome back to Coin Value Pro. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting to talk about one specific penny, the 1959 D Mint Mark Lincoln cent, and why collectors are willing to pay big money for it. The Lincoln penny, which debuted in 1909, is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. By 1959, the coin was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, replacing the wheat stalks that had been used for decades. This transition was meant to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. But while millions of these coins were minted, there's one particular penny from 1959 that has taken the world of numismatics by storm. We're talking about the elusive 1959 D penny from the Denver Mint. So, what's the big deal with the 1959 D penny? After all, billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies were minted that year. But this specific coin stands out because of its rarity and some peculiar minting anomalies that have made it one of the most sought-after pennies in history. Experts believe that only a handful of 1959 D pennies exist with very rare minting errors. Some collectors speculate that these could be transition errors or that they were mistakenly struck using old dies. These errors can include doubling of the date, abnormalities in the D to mint mark, or misalignments that are incredibly rare. When error coins like these are found, they instantly gain attention, and this particular 1959 D penny became the holy grail for collectors because of its high market value. Now, let's talk about the moment that truly put this coin in the spotlight, when one of these pennies sold for a whopping $75,000 at auction. You heard that right. $75,000 for a penny. This jaw-dropping sale was a turning point, showing just how high collectors are willing to go for a rare 1959 D penny. Back in 2010, a pristine 1959 D penny with an error was discovered, and after being authenticated by professional grading services, it went under the hammer at a major coin auction. Bidding was fierce, and when the dust settled, the final price stunned the coin-collecting world. The lucky buyer now owns one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. But why is this coin so valuable? Well, several factors come into play. First and foremost is the coin's condition. Collectors use a system called grading to evaluate the quality of a coin, with the highest grades like MS 65 and above fetching the most money. The higher the grade, the more flawless the coin is, no scratches, no dings, and no wear from circulation. The 1959 D penny that sold for $75,000 was in near-perfect condition, graded as MS 65. Additionally, any errors or anomalies significantly increase the coin's worth. The 1959 D penny's unique minting error is what made it stand out, and with only a few known to exist, scarcity is another major factor that drives up the price. Now, I know what you're thinking, could I have one of these rare pennies in my collection? Well, it's definitely possible. If you have any old pennies from 1959, especially from the Denver Mint, you should take a closer look. Look for the 1959 date on the obverse front of the coin, check for the D mint mark just below the date. This indicates it was minted in Denver. Examine the coin under a magnifying glass for any noticeable errors, such as doubling in the date or other strange anomalies. If you think your penny might be special, you'll want to have it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will assess the coin's condition and any errors, which will determine its potential value. As of today, the current market value for a rare 1959 D penny can reach as high as $75,000, depending on its grade and the specific error. But with the ever-growing interest in coin collecting, who knows? The value of this penny could increase even more in the coming years. Coins like this aren't just historical relics, they're investments. Rare coins with unique features tend to hold or even grow in value over time. So, if you're lucky enough to own one, it could be worth holding onto it or consulting a coin expert before selling. In conclusion, the 1959 D Lincoln penny is a prime example of how small minting errors can turn a common coin into something truly extraordinary. With its current market value reaching $75,000, it's a reminder to always check your change because you never know what rare treasure you might be holding. If you think you might have a 1959 D penny, get it evaluated. It could change your life. And for those passionate about coin collecting, keep your eyes peeled for more rare finds. Who knows, the next big sale could be right around the corner. We're talking about one of the most sought-after pennies in the world, the 1974 Lincoln cent with a mint mark that could be worth as much as $65,000. Now, you might be thinking, how can a simple penny be worth more than $65,000? Well, stick around because we're going to explore the history of this coin, what makes it so valuable, and how you could potentially have one sitting in your pocket change right now. Let's start with some background on the 1974 Lincoln penny. In 1974, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these coins. The Lincoln penny, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, front, side, has been in circulation since 1909, celebrating the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The reverse, back, features the Lincoln Memorial, which started appearing on the penny in 1959. But 1974 was an interesting year for the U.S. Mint, and that's where the real story begins. As inflation started to rise in the 1970s, the cost of producing copper coins became a big concern. Pennies were made primarily of copper at the time, but that year the Mint decided to experiment with other metals. In 1974, the Mint tested a small batch of pennies made from aluminum instead of copper. They minted over 1.5 million aluminum pennies, hoping to save money on production. But here's the catch. These aluminum pennies were never meant to be circulated, and most were recalled and melted down before they left the mint. However, a few of these aluminum pennies escaped the melting pot and ended up in private hands. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare 1974 aluminum pennies, it could be worth a fortune. One of these aluminum pennies sold for over $200,000 at auction in 2014. But the aluminum penny isn't the only one that's valuable. For most collectors, the 1974 copper penny with a mint mark can also fetch a high price, especially if it's in excellent condition or has any rare variations. Mint marks are important when it comes to determining a coin's value. A mint mark tells you where the coin was produced. For example, a D mint mark means the coin was minted in Denver, an S means San Francisco, and if there's no mark at all, it was minted in Philadelphia. So what makes a regular 1974 copper penny potentially worth thousands of dollars? The answer is simple, it's condition, rarity, and demand. Coins that are in near-perfect condition, known as mint state or MS grade, are always more valuable. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A 1974 penny graded MS-67 can sell for around $50, but one graded MS-68 or higher can reach into the thousands. Another important factor is the coin's mint mark. A 1974 S penny in pristine condition is more valuable than one without a mint mark. And then there are error coins, which are coins that were minted with a mistake. These can also dramatically increase the value. Now let's talk about that jaw-dropping $65,000 price tag. Recently, a 1974 penny with a Denver mint mark, D, sold at auction for a staggering $65,000. Why? Because it was graded MS-69, almost the highest grade possible for a coin. Its near-perfect condition, combined with its rarity, made it incredibly desirable for collectors. While it's rare to find a penny worth that much, there are still many 1974 pennies out there that can be worth hundreds or even thousands, depending on their grade and condition. So, how can you check if your 1974 penny is worth big money? First, look for the mint mark. Is it from Denver, San Francisco, or Philadelphia? Next, examine the condition. Does it have any scratches, dents, or discoloration? The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Lastly, consider getting it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. This can help you get an official rating and increase the value if you decide to sell it. As of today, the market value for a 1974 penny can range anywhere from 1 cent to $65,000, depending on its condition and mint mark. Most circulated pennies are worth only face value, but a well-preserved penny with a Denver or San Francisco mint mark in near-perfect condition could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Collectors are always on the hunt for high-quality coins, so if you've got a 1974 penny in excellent condition, it might be worth having it appraised. Well, there you have it. The 1974 Lincoln penny might just be one of the most interesting coins in your collection, especially if it has a mint mark and is in excellent condition. Who knew a single penny could be worth as much as $65,000? I've got something really exciting for you. Yes, we're talking about the infamous 1982 Lincoln penny, which has turned out to be worth a jaw-dropping $55,000. That's right, one single penny could potentially make you rich. If you've got a jar of loose change sitting around, you might want to dig through it after this video. In 1982, the US Mint made some interesting changes to the penny, and those changes have created one of the most valuable errors in coin collecting history. So, what makes this coin so special? Why is it worth so much money? And most importantly, how can you find one? Stick around, because we're going to dive deep into this fascinating piece of coin history. First, let's set the stage. In 1982, the United States was facing rising metal prices, which made the cost of producing pennies higher than the face value of the coins themselves. As a result, the mint decided to change the composition of the penny. Before 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper, but after 1982, they were switched to a cheaper copper-plated zinc. But here's the kicker, 1982 was a transitional year, meaning the mint produced both copper pennies and zinc pennies. They also used two different die sizes for the mint marks, the large date and the small date. This mix-up is where things get interesting, and some incredibly valuable error coins were made. The specific coin you're looking for is the 1982 D small date Lincoln cent, but here's the catch, it needs to be made of zinc, not copper. If you're able to find one, that's where the $55,000 value comes into play. To understand why this coin is so valuable, let's break it down. So, how can you tell if you have a small date or large date penny? It's all in the design of the numbers. On the small date, the 2 in 1982 is noticeably thinner, and the overall date sits slightly higher on the coin. On the large date, the 2 is thicker, and the numbers are slightly lower. The small date variety is far more rare, especially the ones minted in Denver with a D mint mark. The real reason this coin is so valuable is because the mint wasn't supposed to make any small-date 1982 D pennies in zinc. All small-date Denver pennies were supposed to be made of copper, but somehow, a few were struck in zinc. These are known as error coins, and they are extremely rare. In fact, only a handful of these zinc 1982 D small-date pennies have been discovered. So how can you tell if your 1982 penny is zinc or copper? It's actually super easy, just weigh it. Copper pennies from 1982 should weigh around 3.11 grams, while the zinc pennies weigh significantly less, around 2.5 grams. So, if you have a 1982 D small date penny and it weighs 2.5 grams, you might just have one of the most valuable error coins out there. Now, let's talk about value. Why is this tiny little penny worth so much money? It's all about supply and demand. Because so few of these error coins exist, collectors are willing to pay big bucks to get their hands on one. In 2017, a 1982 D small date zinc penny was sold at auction for an astonishing $18,800, but fast forward a few years, and now the value has skyrocketed to over $55,000. That's right, the most recent auction prices have this coin sitting at over $50,000. The reason the value keeps going up is because these coins are so rare, and collectors are always looking for the next one to surface. And, to be clear, this value is for pennies in near-perfect condition, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state coins. But even if your coin isn't in perfect condition, it could still fetch thousands of dollars. So, how can you find out if you have this rare 1982 penny? First, go through your old change, penny jars, or collections. Pull out any 1982 pennies and separate them by mint mark. Look for that little D under the date. Then, use a magnifying glass to check if you have the small date variety. Finally, weigh the coin. Remember, copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams and zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams. If your penny has the Denver mint mark, is a small date, and weighs 2.5 grams, you might just be holding one of the rarest pennies in US history. I recommend getting it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its authenticity and condition. So, there you have it, the 1982 D small date zinc penny could be hiding in your pocket change, and it's worth a massive $55,000 or more. If you've got a collection of old pennies, it's definitely worth the time to go through them. And who knows? You might just find yourself sitting on a small fortune. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos on rare coins and currency. Drop a comment below if you think you found one of these rare pennies, or if you want more tips on coin collecting. Good luck, happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next video.